feta and parsley and deliciousness all in a bowl of quinoa.
I don't think I've ever had quinoa before.
I
Really?
resemble that.
I don't think so. If I have, I didn't know.
It's like one of my favorite grains.
It's just like a really small,
like
rice
little
grain,
seeds.
right?
It's like little seeds. It's
Is
not
it
rice.
ricey?
It's yeah,
Texture?
it's similar-ish.
Okay.
I would never be like, this is exactly like rice,
Is
because then you wouldn't like it.
Is it like those other couscous?
No,
like that?
no. Couscous is like heaven in a bowl,
Oh, I know that's right.
and quinoa is a
Man.
seed.
Love me some couscous, brother.
Yeah.
All this sounds too healthy for me.
Couscous is not healthy.
Not healthy.
No?
It's so good.
It's like couscous is like pasta had a baby and then you slathered it with butter.
dude, it's so good.
It's so
I had it
good.
for the first time. I went to the Packers game a
That's
few years
the
ago.
words to say to me, first
Oh,
of all.
man, it was
Not the
so
Packers game.
good.
The pasta having a baby.
No, I knew
Oh,
what you
Packers
I
fans
knew what
like
you
it.
meant.
I'm never eating that stuff.
Yeah,
Right,
never
Joey?
mind. I'm out.
meant. Yeah, you would, you dog. Dude, it's so
Welcome
good.
to the
Couscous is so
worship
good.
hangover.
Hello, I'm Aaron.
I'm Dallas.
I'm Joey.
We still do that, right? I haven't watched the hangover in a
Yeah,
while.
I like that Zach thought he was giving us a warm open, and I still turned it into a cold open.
Yeah, you can't stop the cold open.
yeah,
Cold.
yeah. So
It's cold outside.
how about it,
It is a
man?
little bit, isn't it?
That's
it
why I'm
is.
wearing a Hawaiian shirt. You wore
do
a
that
Hawaiian
sometimes,
shirt
too, yeah.
yesterday.
Try to usher in the
preaching,
spring. I get that.
And I went and asked all my students, and I pointed at you and I said, "Is it time yet?" And they all went, "No, it's not."
Nice.
They don't know what
So,
they're talking about.
I am
Nice.
standing in solidarity with you.
Thank you. Spring
It's-
has sprung.
It's not time for the Hawaiian shirt. I don't have the confidence to wear Hawaiian shirts. Yeah. I think it takes a certain level of confidence
That's
that I
too
just
bad.
don't have.
You might
It
get
takes
there.
a
You might get
certain
there. You might.
a certain level of how do you say beach mindset.
I think I
Sure, we are a little beach minded over here on
Yeah.
the side of the table.
I equate
Yeah.
Hawaiian shirts with like either like geriatric cruise trips
sure.
or like beach bras.
And that's
Both
what,
aspirations
yeah,
of mine. So
both-
yeah, that makes
Yeah,
sense.
neither of those are like
Those are
what I'm
I
going
would
for.
I would call both of those beach minded.
Yeah, very beach minded.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, we need like a Hawaiian shirt and then underneath it a t-shirt that says, "Are you beach minded?"
No. As close as I'm going to get to that is a cup of Hawaiian punch.
Hey, that's pretty close, man.
Yeah.
It's got it in the name, dude. It's right there.
Yeah.
Pretty good. What's your favorite flavor?
Are they
have
different?
flavors?
They have
Oh, yeah.
colors.
Exactly. Blue. Blue is mine.
Green,
okay.
maybe?
Mine.
I'm going to go
I
with
thought
green.
Yeah,
Red,
okay.
red is fine.
Red's good.
You know what's
Yeah.
crazy? You know what's crazy? It's cheaper than water.
In what capacity? Is
And
it
like
cheaper than water?
a gallon of Hawaiian punch and a gallon of water, the Hawaiian punch is cheaper.
I don't think
I'm gonna
this
call
is true.
baloney on
False
that. I'm not-
news.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure about that. Would
No.
you let us know in the comments if that's true
No.
or not?
Mm-mm.
And don't even
out.
look it up. Just tell us if you think it's
Yeah,
true.
just tell us.
Just
tell us
your
if you
opinion
think.
and
If,
I
state
mean,
it as
I didn't
fact.
look it up, so
Yeah.
why
And
would
then we
you?
can
yeah.
finger at Joey.
Why did
Yeah.
you?
Maybe ask ChatGPT. Let's find out what
Yeah,
it
That's a
sure.
says.
good idea.
Yeah, see what kind of response.
I
we
believe
get.
it's cheaper than some waters.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But a gallon of water as a
Yeah.
blanket?
Yeah, man, that's a.
Maybe it was like
That's
a
very
case
broad.
of water. Maybe that's what I was thinking.
Well, a case of Hawaiian punch would probably be a lot too.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I don't know.
You got to compare the same values.
Yeah. I'm not sure. I can't remember. I just have this memory of my mind just looking at some water and then looking at Hawaiian punch and go, why would I not get the sugary drink when it's cheaper?
I'm just saying, like, as a CPAP user and supporter,
Yeah.
and a person who spreads the gospel of the CPAP, I buy my water a gallon at a time.
I tried to
And-
get a CPAP
and
and they
it's-
told me I didn't need it.
No, and it's well, that would be amazing. Hawaiian punch and the CPAP. That's a great idea, Zach Pittman. But
Yeah, tasty and a half.
but it would be. But I definitely buy it for like $1.09
Yeah, I
the
think
gallon
so.
of water.
Somebody had that thought. Let's just put it in a cartridge.
Yeah,
That's where vaping came from.
I think that's what more or less.
That's where it came from.
More or less.
like
Just that with a whole bunch of chemicals.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. Hawaiian punch.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. You got me there.
Yeah. It's hard to argue
So-
that one.
Yeah. So yeah, it's how I hope spring break was okay. I was
I-
off, so it was great.
It was just me
Yeah,
Yeah.
you were the only one in the office
for 2 days.
Yeah,
I saw briefly Zach.
you held the place down.
You did.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that, but I was here.
Yeah.
I was here.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You were here, and the building is still here. And that's
Yeah.
pretty good.
Yeah.
That's like
Boredom is
half
like
the job, honestly.
boredom is like the emotion that I avoid, like the plague.
Hmm.
So it was a rough week.
Tough one being in isolation.
Yeah.
No distractions, just work.
That's like my
Oh, that
dream,
was
man.
nice. Yeah, that was nice. Last week, I like that.
As a 22-year-old, it was brutal.
Yeah.
Yeah. No distractions, just work.
That's why I'm
Sounds
wearing
great.
a Hawaiian shirt this week.
Got to bring in the spring.
Yeah,
What
I like
did
it.
What did you guys do?
It was uneventful for me. I was at home and working, and it was good.
There you go.
Good, easy week. Taking care of the family.
Yeah, I was at home off, and I did work on Wednesday, like all day, but otherwise I was hanging out and did some yard projects, and we
So
ended
fun.
up having a last minute garage sale because I'm married to Alpha Henry,
Yeah.
and
goes.
and then
Sell
we
anything good?
not enough. I think she's doing another one this weekend.
Nice. Nice.
Like the commercial I put in there.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah,
Share out your
mention
personal profile, quick reach.
mention the worship hangover, and Alpha will give you a discount.
10%, no tax.
But we went to Alpha and I went to St. Charles Saturday and spent the night, so it was good.
Nice.
Nice.
We went to the very first Capitol of Missouri, the Capitol building.
Oh.
It's as luxurious as it sounds.
Yeah, I bet, man.
Yeah.
What a sight.
So
What a
probably,
sight.
Sure.
Yeah. Probably not luxurious.
Oh, you don't think so?
No?
No.
Okay.
Okay.
Well,
I don't
Well,
know.
they used to spit
Old.
between
Sounds
their
old.
feet.
Spit
like-
between their feet?
like-
Just straight
like-
down?
as a statement?
You don't
No,
try and,
because
hurl
they
it
all
towards
chewed
the
tobacco
bushes?
in the chamber.
Why would you do it between your feet, though?
Because
Yeah, what
only
if
the
it
people
lands
on
on
the
your
end of the
toes?
seats had a spittoon, and so everybody else just
Did
the
they not
rule
have
was
portables back then?
Spittoon's
I
such
don't
a
know.
funny word.
I didn't think they'd have portables back then.
I don't know.
I mean, I don't know.
I
just- I'm just
20-ounce
repeating
bottles
what's
had
in
not
my
been
head.
invented.
No,
yet.
but you don't need 20 ounces for a spit cup.
I don't know what you've been seeing.
Not in one sitting. You can store that up and then, pass it down the aisle to
Oh,
dump.
Okay, this took a gross turn.
I'm just saying, between your feet, that's not great.
No, it wasn't.
I'm
not
still
great.
stuck on the word spittoon.
Well,
Such a
what word
funny-
would you choose?
No, I would choose no other word. That's such a great word. I'm very impressed by this word. Spittoon. I'm just repeating it to myself.
Is this your first time
over
hearing
and
the
over.
word spittoon?
No.
Okay.
Okay.
You were
But
just
this is the first time, probably
Really
unironically,
Yeah.
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Like,
So it was
yeah.
very luxurious. Yeah.
Yeah, what a sight.
Uh-huh.
I stand by it. What a sight.
They had removed like the electricity, which kind of impressed me.
How does that?
So they were like, we want this to be as authentic as possible. Because
So
the
they
building,
removed electricity.
yeah. So the building, they went through and took out like all the lights and hung like candle things on the walls. Whatever
Yeah,
you call those?
candelabras?
No, they're sconces.
Oh, sure.
But they didn't have any candles lit because that would be too dangerous.
Oh, so it's
Um,
just like
so it
a
was-
ghost tour?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's
Yeah,
during
kinda.
the day,
With a
so
dirty
there's
floor.
light in there.
Yeah,
But
dirty
yeah,
floor.
Dirty floor.
it's very interesting.
Old Capitol building.
That's a pretty good band name.
What's that?
Dirty,
Dirty
Floor Ghost
Floor.
Tours.
Oh,
Dirty floor ghost tours.
Or maybe an album name. That might not be a
Oh,
Yeah.
album
band.
name
For sure.
Ghost Tours of a Dirty Floor.
Nope.
no, you
Hate it.
ruined it.
Hate
You
it.
ruined it right
Let's
there.
Let's move on now.
Yeah.
That bit's killed.
So let's talk about your message yesterday. I heard it was unstoppable.
That's what I heard actually when I learned about the message I'd be preaching. That's right. Not going to be unstoppable.
Yeah.
Everybody he
so-
asked just said he did an amazing job.
So I haven't
I just kept asking, and they just kept saying how great I was doing.
watched yet. Alpha and I went to physical church yesterday,
Yeah.
physical place, but
Yeah.
so I haven't seen it yet. But tell me about it.
Excuse
Tell me
us.
more.
Yeah, we talked about and
It's the
and
worst.
then we and that was about it. That's pretty good, I thought.
Yeah.
So we talked about the nature of the gospel forces people to choose.
Yeah.
You have to make a choice.
You have to choose.
And that choice brings division because some choose to be for, some choose to be opposed to the
Okay.
gospel. And that choice forces division.
Yeah.
And that division cuts through families and workplaces
Yeah.
and friends and all sorts of things. And so we talked about just kind of the reality that Jesus lays out, that like from now on, there will be division. And it's not the goal of the gospel to bring division. The goal is to bring unity and to bring people into knowing who Christ is and following him to a new way of living. But the reality of the gospel, because it's such a challenging message, is that it will divide people. So that was like the first chunk of our conversation
There's so
yesterday.
much to unpack there. Holy
Yeah, and there's
cow.
a lot of it. We talked about just like that's the reality, and
Yeah.
it's tough. But also, that's not the end of the story
Right.
for necessarily for anybody. And that even though someone
Yeah.
may resist or reject the gospel today, doesn't mean that they won't be changed by it tomorrow.
Exactly.
And so that's where the message really kind of like led the rest of the time, was talking about Jesus's brothers and their rejection of him, and then them following and dying for him, and Saul becoming Paul, and things like that,
Yeah.
like those sorts of stories. And
Yeah.
so that was the bulk of what we talked about, is just the idea that even though your situation with whoever you're living in tension with right now because of your faith, whoever that person is for you, whether it's a family member or a coworker or a friend, just because you're in the pain and the difficulty right now, don't lose hope, because there is still hope that the gospel can still transform. Even if they're rejecting it right now, it doesn't mean they will reject it forever. And God is still working behind the scenes. So keep being faithful. That was really the heart
Yeah.
of the
That's
conversation.
a really powerful message. You know, I have,
Yeah.
I mean, I have people in my own, you know, family and I have people in my life who I've prayed for years, you know, and so even for me, like you said something in your sermon that stood out to me. You said maybe you're at the point where you're about ready to just give up on prayer because you just are kind of losing hope and you feel like it's not working. And I think, you know, that feeling definitely exists for everybody who's been praying for such a long time.
Yeah.
And so, like, you know, even if it's not like the most groundbreaking, oh, I've never heard this before, like, it's such a good reminder to just say, like, you're doing good.
Yeah.
Don't quit. Like, keep going.
Yeah, I had
you
more
know?
people identify with that feeling yesterday, come up and say something about like, man, I've been praying for this person for 3 years and it feels like it's not going anywhere. And I was just feeling like I should stop.
Yeah.
I was just feeling like, man, this is not going anywhere. Maybe their resistance is the sign that I should just stop praying for them. That I
Yeah.
just need to, you know, throw my hands up. And I had more people come to me and comment yesterday than any sermon before that with that specific idea. I think I didn't realize how much that would resonate with people.
Yeah.
I knew it did
Yeah.
for me. And we talked about this last week at Huddle a little bit, that
Yeah.
I am tempted to, when someone resists or rejects what I have to say, I write them off and say, oh, well, they just don't understand. That's on them. And it frees me of the burden. It makes me feel like, okay, well, it's not my fault, it's them. And that's my temptation. And so what I had to remind myself as I was studying for this is that that's a really poor attitude to have towards
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
To look at someone and say, well, I don't need to try for you because you're just not going to get it.
Because you're hopeless.
Exactly. And so I mean, we always preach to ourselves first.
Yeah.
What we're learning and stuff. And so that was a lot of what it was. And I was hoping that
Yeah.
it would resonate with some people, but it was a lot more universal than I
Yeah.
expected for people to have that very specific feeling,
Yeah.
which was really good. Like,
Yeah.
I think it spoke
Yeah.
to a lot of circumstances
So
people are in
many.
right now. which
Well,
was
and
good.
too, like, because it's something that everybody experiences, like, and I think it is probably the most common way that people experience division in their lives is like these people who, you know, maybe are challenging them. Like, you know, I have a lot of friends who, you know, work in town and they have people in their jobs, like coworkers, who either ask them questions or they hear arguments of people just arguing about Christianity and that kind of stuff, and it's just like you feel stuck sometimes.
Yeah.
You know, and sometimes it's like easier to, you know, emotionally easier to disconnect. And so like that's the hard thing, is just that consistency over time.
Yeah.
So it was a good message for sure for them.
Yeah, for sure. No, that's great. You know, I think it is easy though to get disheartened, and it's not even like, sometimes it's not even about division as much as it is like non-responsiveness. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure.
You know, because I think that you know, there are people who want to pour into others, and then it doesn't really do anything for them or whatever. And so it's living in that understanding of like, all you can do is what you can do.
Yeah.
You know, and someone else's I don't even want to call it rejection of, but like lack of acceptance
Sure.
of your faith doesn't like pull you off of the hook to share it, you know, or to live your faith out. And so yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And part of what we talked about as well is the way that we continue to stand firm with grace.
Yeah.
And that standing firm does not mean arguing someone
Yeah.
into the kingdom.
Yeah.
And that it doesn't look like making sure you have all of the right doctrinal points and you can answer any question and make sure you shut down an argument before they can retort or whatever. Like that's not. We looked at one of Paul's things as like if you want to know how to answer everybody, answer them with grace.
Yeah.
I'm paraphrasing, but that's Paul's instruction is season all of your speech with salt, speak with grace, respond with grace, and then you will know how to answer what you ought to say when someone is talking to you about the gospel. And so that's like, if his instruction was, and make sure you brush up on all of your church history and you know how to answer this problem or whatever, like that's what he would have said. But he didn't say that because that's not how Paul envisions us answering people's issues or whatever, non-responsiveness even with the gospel. It's speaking with grace.
Yeah.
Paul's answer.
It takes looking at your own life. Like think about how you came to the gospel, right? Like I came to Christ because of, I'm sure a lot of us can trace back to somebody in our life who cares about us, showed us love, shows us that we are loved, and then pointed that to God.
Yeah.
And that's really, what we're called to do even in the midst of those divisions.
Yeah. So we touched on that as well. That was a core chunk of it too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I think Paul's what a great person to hear that from, because people will say things like Paul was so bold for the gospel. You know what I mean? And they'll use that as an excuse for them to be a jerk with the gospel.
Yeah.
And Paul was bold with the gospel, but his boldness was knowing that his neck was on the line, and still proclaiming the truth of the gospel that started most of the time with like, I was the worst of sinners, and he saved me. Like his boldness wasn't blasting somebody. His boldness was projecting the message. That was his boldness. And so what a great person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was a good conversation yesterday, I think. And we didn't go to life group, so I don't know how group
we went to
conversations
life
went
group
either.
and it was
good.
It was real good.
Yeah, my group was it was good. They had a hard time with I think the people in our group maybe live more compartmentalized the way that I do some of them. And so they had a hard time with like, I don't know that I have anybody who is like rejects me or you know what I mean, because of the gospel. Like that was a thing. And so, but we did have some good conversations about people who maybe come from different traditions and things like that. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's good.
Yep. Fun.
Yeah.
So that's good. Well, awesome. Hey, we're looking towards Easter here pretty
It's coming
quick.
up, isn't it?
It's running towards us. And so what a great time to take this message, right, of this unstoppable message, and to be sharing it, and to continue praying for people and to continue giving invites to people. It's a great time for that.
Yeah.
And so I just want to encourage everybody like live it out and keep spreading it and see what happens. I think it'll be good. So absolutely. All right. Well, y'all, we started late, so we probably need to wrap up and get into our staff meeting this morning, but you have a great week.
See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.